Moving house might be a fresh start for many, but for someone living with obsessive-compulsive disorder, it's not that simple. Behind every box packed and every wall repainted, there's a silent struggle that many people don't see. For those with OCD, a house is not just a place to live. It's a carefully structured environment built around mental coping systems, routines, and rituals that provide a sense of control. So when the time comes to leave all of that behind, the mental and emotional toll can be immense. The overwhelming fear of uncertainty and the unknown. One of the biggest emotional challenges for someone with OCD when moving house is the flood of uncertainty. OCD thrives on doubt, on endless what-ifs. And moving throws a dozen new unknowns into the mix all at once. What if the new home isn't safe? What if it's not clean enough? What if the locks don't work properly? These aren't just passing thoughts. They stick. They spiral. They linger long after the moving truck has pulled away. In the face of so many unknowns, routines start to crumble, and the anxiety spikes. People with OCD often attempt to regain control through compulsive behaviors, like excessive planning or repeated checking. But because the environment is unfamiliar, even those rituals can feel ineffective. It's like trying to calm a storm with a paper umbrella. Intense cleaning rituals, battling invisible threats. For those whose OCD centers around contamination fears, moving into a new space can feel like walking into a battlefield. Every corner might harbor invisible threats, germs, toxins, or even just a vague feeling of something being unclean. The cleaning rituals that follow aren't about tidying up, they're acts of survival. People might spend hours scrubbing the same surface, not because it looks dirty, but because their mind refuses to believe it's clean. And no matter how many times the floor is mopped or the counters disinfected, there's always that gnawing doubt. What if I missed a spot? The exhausting repetition can delay unpacking and make settling in feel almost impossible. Even worse, others around them, family, friends, movers, may not understand the depth of the fear, unintentionally adding guilt or shame into the already overwhelming mix. The struggle to adapt checking rituals in an unfamiliar space. Checking rituals, like making sure doors are locked or stoves are off, can provide brief relief in a familiar home. But when someone with OCD moves to a new place, even these rituals lose their grounding. A new layout means new locks, new switches, new appliances, and none of them have been tested in the mind's obsessive logic. That uncertainty can fuel relentless cycles of checking. The person might check a lock 5 times, walk away, and then come back again just to be sure. But unlike in their old home, where years of repetition built a shaky sense of safety, the new home offers no such comfort. It's unfamiliar, and that unfamiliarity breeds doubt. What used to be a 2-minute routine becomes a 30-minute struggle with their own thoughts. The emotional impact of leaving a safe haven. Leaving a home doesn't just mean leaving walls and furniture behind. For someone with OCD, it means leaving behind the very systems that have helped them cope. It's where their rituals lived, where their routines kept anxiety at bay, where even the arrangement of a toothbrush or the way a curtain was folded felt like part of a fragile sense of order. So the move doesn't just stir up logistical stress, it brings emotional pain. It can feel like losing a part of themselves or abandoning a carefully constructed safety net. The grief that comes with that loss is real, even if it's invisible to others. And it often comes with fears about starting over. Worries that the new space won't feel safe, or that their symptoms will spiral out of control again. It's a goodbye to familiarity, with no guarantee of finding peace on the other side. The challenge of re-establishing order and control. For many people with OCD, especially those with symmetry or order-based obsessions, the layout of their home is a big part of how they manage anxiety. Items are placed with intention. Movements follow routines. There's comfort in the predictability. But when moving into a new house, all of that gets appended. The walls are different, the rooms might feel off, and the sense of balance that existed before gets lost. Trying to rebuild that order can take weeks or even months. It's not just about where the couch goes, it's about recreating a mental map where things feel right. And until that map is restored, discomfort lingers. Every crooked frame or slightly misaligned drawer becomes a source of tension. What looks like a small inconvenience to others can feel like an internal chaos that's hard to silence. The disruption of established routines. Daily routines act like anchors for those with OCD. Whether it's a specific sequence for brushing teeth or a bedtime checklist, these patterns provide stability in a world full of mental noise. Moving uproots all of that. Suddenly, the toothbrush isn't in its usual spot. The familiar sounds before sleep are replaced with strange creaks or traffic noise. The morning routine no longer flows the same way. This kind of disruption can leave someone with OCD feeling disoriented and anxious. It takes effort and time to rebuild new routines in a foreign space. But until that happens, the lack of structure can lead to a temporary spike in symptoms. The person may feel unmoored, more vulnerable to intrusive thoughts, and unsure of how to regain a sense of normalcy. Coping with sensory and environmental overload. A new house isn't just different visually. It sounds different, smells different, and feels different. For someone with OCD, especially if they are highly sensitive to sensory input, these changes can be jarring. Maybe the new house smells like paint or chemicals, or the carpet feels different underfoot. Maybe the lighting is too harsh, or the layout feels claustrophobic. These little things might not even register to others, but for someone with OCD, they can be deeply uncomfortable, sometimes even triggering. It's a sensory overload that adds another layer of difficulty to an already stressful transition. The brain is already working overtime to process the move. Adding in sensory discomfort can lead to emotional exhaustion or even panic attacks. Social and relational impact. Moving often involves more than one person. There might be family members, partners, or roommates involved, and their expectations can sometimes clash with the needs of someone managing OCD. Others may not fully understand why something seemingly small, like whether the windows are clean enough or if the microwave is safe to use, can cause such distress. This gap in understanding can lead to tension, arguments, or even feelings of shame and guilt. The person with OCD might try to hide their compulsions to avoid being a burden, but doing so only increases the internal pressure. They might feel isolated, like no one truly sees what they're going through. That's why open communication and empathy from loved ones are essential, not just for practical help, but for emotional survival during this transition. Practical strategies to make moving with OCD easier. Despite how hard moving can be, there are ways to make it a bit more manageable for someone with OCD. Breaking the process into smaller tasks can reduce overwhelm. Visiting the new home multiple times before moving in can help ease the fear of the unknown. Setting up a safe zone first, like one clean, organized room, can give the person somewhere to retreat when everything else feels chaotic. And slowly building new routines, rather than rushing to recreate everything, gives space for gradual adjustment. Mindfulness techniques, self-compassion, and professional support can also be powerful tools. It's not about making the transition perfect. It's about making it survivable, one step at a time. Finding strength and growth in change. Yes, moving is difficult. Incredibly so, for someone with OCD. But it can also be an opportunity for growth. Facing fears, enduring uncertainty, and finding a way to adapt in a new space can build resilience. It's not easy, and it's definitely not quick. But each time the person makes it through a tough day, unpacks another box, or sets up one more piece of their routine, they're reclaiming power. They're proving to themselves that even though OCD can be loud, it doesn't get the final say. Over time, the new house can become just as safe, just as structured, just as theirs as the old one once was. Disclaimer: this article is intended to provide a compassionate and insightful perspective, not to replace professional treatment. If you or someone you love is struggling with OCD, especially during times of major life transition like moving, please reach out to a licensed mental health professional for personalized support and guidance.